The next thing I want to share with you are the things that are not recyclable. I feel like seeing a picture of something is worth 1,000 words, as they say. So I've got lots of examples of what is not recyclable, starting with wrapping paper. Anything that's got a foil or a sheen to it, it is not recyclable. Glass. We know there's an alternative for glass, which we will talk about later, but I'm giving you an example. Wine bottles, home glasses, vases, ceramic cannot be recycled. These Pyrex dishes are not recyclable. And particularly you want to think about no mirrors go into the recycling container. What's really important when you look at these two things, these cannot be recycled because they both have a hazardous material in it. So paints cannot go into the recycling, and although this is an aerosol, it has a recyclable material, it has a hazardous material in it, therefore it cannot be recycled. Light bulbs cannot go into recycling. You can take them to Home Depot or Lowe's. They have recycling containers right inside their doors. Ice cream containers cannot be recycled because the product contaminates the container. The other thing that is important is any of these microwave plates that come in the packages, they cannot be recycled. The reason being, as you can see, while it was cooking, it actually made a stain from the food that was in it. So therefore, it's contaminated and it's not clean and dry. For some reason, they don't want the paper that comes in your reams of paper. They don't want the outside covering. I think this is already material that's been recycled, so therefore it doesn't have any value for the companies that take the paper. Real important, we want to talk about containers being in the way of plastic bags. Now this bag, which it came with limes in it, but this is not recyclable. The reason being it's actually two different materials. It's got the netting down here and the plastic in it also. So that can't be recycled. This mailer cannot be recycled because it has the bubble wrap inside and the paper on the outside. Therefore, it's two materials that cannot be recycled. These prime envelopes, again, they're two different materials. They cannot go into recycling. Now, the good thing about these, they can go in with your plastic bags that you take to the grocery store for recycling. Always collect them and put them in your container for that. No medical supplies. This little mask, this is like an EpiPen. Nothing that would have a needle on it can go into the recycling. This is part of this masking system. It cannot be recycled. The biggest culprit in recycling today are plastic bags. A lot of people think they're doing a great job recycling because they take this bag and they fill all their recycling in there and then they drop it into their recycle container. That is the biggest no-no in the world. Ditch the bag because these bags cannot be recycled. What happens is when it does reach the material recycling facility, it ends up getting caught in the conveyors in the system that they use to do the sorting. So these absolutely are not recyclable in your regular recycle container. No matter what kind they are, they can't go in. I like to bring these little things to your attention also. These are the worst things you could possibly put into the recycling containers because they too cause havoc in the gears in the conveyor system, so they absolutely do not want them. And be sure you never allow these to go into a creek, a pond, a lake, because this is the worst thing that can happen for the fish and the turtles. They get all tangled up in these containers and this material, and it's very dangerous. Lots and lots of people want to recycle their vitamins and ibuprofen containers, but they don't want anything that's had any kind of medication or even vitamin material. None of your prescription bottles can go into the recycling, so please do not put those in there. Next thing we want to talk about are, we call these tanglers. These little babies are the worst thing that can be in the recycling because they too get into the gearing system on the conveyor and cause terrible havoc. Now, I just saw where Target is taking those. They collect hangers in the front of their store, so there's a container you can throw those in. And these little pumps that are in our hand lotion. These cannot go into the recycling. Reason being, they're actually 3 different materials. You've got a little spring in here, you've got one kind of plastic here, another kind of plastic here, so therefore they can't go in the recycling. And metal components just cannot go in. There's no way they collect them and have anything that they can do with those kind of items. Shredded paper. Everybody's got shredded paper these days, but they absolutely do not want that into the recycling. It just causes a lot of mess, and there's no value in it whatsoever. What you can do, however, though, you can take it to a company here in Mission called Unleashed, and that rescues animals, and they will take all of it you can bring in. You just tie it up in a bag, open their front door. They've got a shelf right inside. You put it on the shelf and walk out. Takes you 2 seconds. But yes, please take that for repurposing when you have the opportunity. Styrofoam, the world's worst component in the world. Fortunately, more and more companies are getting away from styrofoam. Praise God that that is happening. So to-go containers, any of your cups, your coffee cups, they have foam in them. They got coffee contamination, so those are not recyclable. This foam, for instance, came as wrapping around my new dishwasher. That absolutely cannot be recycled. This is one of the most important things in the world. Everybody thinks that these little plastic utensils should be recycled. Oh, yes, they should be. But here's how the recycling program works. There has to be a company at the other end, meaning that the Materials Recycling Center has lined up to take the material that they're bringing in. And nobody will take these. And if they don't have a purpose for them, they can't use them. So please never put those in your recycling container. Receipts, believe it or not, I didn't know this until probably a year ago. Receipts are not recyclable. This material is probably already made out of recycled material, so it is not recyclable. Paper plates, napkins, paper towels, tissue, none of those items can be recycled. Clean or dirty, do not put them in your recycling. They're already made out of recycled material, therefore they do not want those in the recycling. I shouldn't have to say diapers, but you never know what people might do. We do want to be sure and say no diapers. And last but not least, we have leaves. Never put any of your yard waste in the recycling container. That's an absolute no-no. So thank you. These are all the things that cannot be recycled. And next we'll move into the specials items.